the valley, I'll turn it loud. Miami's pride to make us proud. CanesWear crew, you hear the crowd. Hurricanes ain't backing down. Every play, every score, raising bets and raising roar. Rocking orange, green galore. All for one and one for four. We got FTSN, taking names, win it again. Broadcast fam till the end. Tune in, now let's begin.
Yo, what's going on, Cane fans? As y'all know, I am your host, Brad Tejeda, with the CanesWear Daily Podcast, only on FTSN. Make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe button. We've been coming in with heat all day, each and every day. As y'all know, we just had a big-time win against a big-time opponent in the California Bears. But to get started, I got a very special guest with us tonight. We've been patiently waiting to get this one on board, man. A lot of y'all know this young man, He's been training a lot of great quarterbacks, and our very own Cam Ward, man. We got our guy, Darrell Colbert, SelectQB Athletics, man. Main facility out there in Houston, Texas, man. How you doing tonight?
Man, good, man. Happy to be on. I appreciate you. Appreciate you having me, man.
Of course, bro. I appreciate you as always, man, for taking some time out of your busy schedule.
Actually, I take that back. I'm actually a little tired because I was up to about 1:45 watching the game last night.
Oh, yeah, 1:45 your time. Imagine being on the East Coast, bro.
Yeah, y'all 2:45, 3 o'clock.
Man, dude, I didn't even go to bed till 5 o'clock because your boy Cam just had the whole fan base just
wide
ready,
awake,
bro. Wide awake, man. We'll get into specifically Cam here shortly, man. But first and foremost, I want to just talk about you and your journey, right? I don't think a lot of people quite understand or know, how hard it takes to do what you do, not only from a physical standpoint, but a mindset and mentality standpoint of really not only training these guys and developing them from a mechanic standpoint, but also from a mindset too, being not just a trainer, but, almost like an older brother, best friend type of mentality. And that's something you can't just find or get any and everywhere, man. So talk about your journey of kind of how you got to where you are today, of having QB Athletics.
Yeah, man. Like I said again, appreciate you having me on. Just, man, opportunity came once I kind of got done playing ball. Played at SMU, played at Lamar University. Once I got done playing ball, I was training with a guy named Gerard Johnson, who's actually the quarterback coach for the Houston Texans now. He was my mentor. He's still my mentor to this day, and kind of gave me the ideas, seeing how I picked up on things when I was training with him and different things. And when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next after playing ball, kind of gave me the idea to jump in with him and learn some quarterback training and try to get in and get some guys out there, since he was taking a step to the NFL. Wanted to leave his guys in good hands. So started going out there with him. Of course, consistently learning things from him, and got on social media, started reaching out to guys, letting guys know who I was, especially in the Houston area. A lot of the high school coaches stayed the same, right? So I played against a lot of the high school coaches that was here, or they had heard of me from when I was playing, when we made a state run and all those type of things. So it kind of helped out with that, word of mouth wise. But ended up getting one guy, and then one guy turned into two turned into four turned into eight, and eight turned into, I think, we're close to 200, and we got kids all from 7 years old to the guys that we talk about every Saturday. So man, it's been a blessing to be in this situation, to be able to help these guys. This was something I look forward to, or something that I wanted when I was younger, when I was playing. I didn't really get a quarterback coach until I met Gerard, and that was like my last year of college. So I didn't have that guy throughout high school and middle school and little league and different things like that. I had my dad. My dad, taught himself a lot. He played receiver. Excuse me. Once he knew I wanted to play quarterback, did as much as he could, taught himself a lot about the quarterback position, took me to all the guys, George Whitfield, all the different camps and different things. So, of course, learned a lot from him as well, just from the stuff that he learned. So, but I always knew, I wanted that type of quarterback trainer, knew what that could have helped me excel when I was playing. So, just want to be that guy for these guys now, man. So, I try to keep everything genuine. I think me being genuine, being who I am is what, keeps the relationships going with these guys, outside of what we do in this facility. Being able to talk to these guys when they're going through things, or reaching out when stuff's not going how they may want it to go, or when stuff is going good. Being able to have that genuine connection, I think that's what really helps our training go to the next level. Really understanding each other, them understanding me, them understanding who I was and who I am now, and then just understanding that I'm always trying to help them become better, and I'm going to push them to become better.
And not only that, man, you touched on a lot of great things. I think one of the biggest things that people got to realize, especially with the quarterback position and football, not only in college, but in the NFL, just the amount of how quickly the game has transitioned to where what type of quarterbacks are now, your new modern age of quarterbacks. And I think you specifically, right? I mean, I kind of hinted on this before we went on the air, man. There are other QB coaches out there, right? But you can't, like, there's not really money that can buy the experience and the opportunities and some of the things that people like yourself have been able to give to others. What has been one of those most challenging climbs that you've seen throughout the years? I mean, you don't have to obviously say specific guys that you've trained. We'll get into that. But just like overall, what has been like one of those top things that you've kind of seen with most players that you've trained that has been a common obstacle through this transition of this new modern quarterback that these guys you've been training?
I think one of the biggest things is a lot of guys, just from the quarterback position, a lot of guys don't understand the little things, right? So you get so many, especially I'm normally get guys when they're middle school or early high school, right? So it's just they've been out there, and these dudes are ballers. They've been out there just doing everything off pure athletic ability, right? So it's getting to the point to now, all right, well, we got to get to the, like I say all the time, just said it earlier, we got to get to the boring stuff, right? The boring stuff is what's going to help us set us apart. Everybody is athletic, especially if you want to play at the next level and, be successful at the next level. Everybody's athletic. Everybody can do all these different things, but what's going to help you set yourself apart from these guys to help you be consistently. So, just being able to get those guys to really understand and harp on the little things that we're teaching and that we're going over weekly and over, like no matter what age group I'm training, if it's 7 years old or if it's the college guys, our warm up is the same with everybody, every single time. The only time it'll change is if it's based off of a large group, but it's still going to be very similar to what we've been doing, and it's just base and balance stuff, because that's the little things that we get away from, because especially throughout the season, those guys get away from, because they're thinking about so much of what's going on, of rushes and reading defenses and reading different concepts and different things, that we start to forget the little things, and then that's how we end up missing these easy throws. So a lot of it is just just getting everybody to understand the boring stuff, that I call it, the little things that make huge differences.
Well, I tell you what, man, you talk about boring. One thing that is not boring is our guy Cam Ward at quarterback at the University of Miami, a guy that you've obviously been training along with some other guys like Shedeur Sanders and Kyron Drones. We'll talk about, that matchup last weekend against Virginia Tech. I know you were there as well. But before we get to those guys, before we got to Cam Ward, we had to find somebody before him that almost met those expectations. And it was another guy that you actually trained in Darrell King. And you kind of, when I asked you earlier about your personal journey, it's kind of interesting, because that SMU connection that you had through your journey, it seems like that is now becoming almost something what Darrell King may be able to follow in someone like your footsteps, as far as being a awesome quarterback coach. You see the opportunity that he now has at SMU at Rhett Lashlee and what he's been able to do there. But before we talk about just his football mentality, knowing his football background with his father and others, talk about what you saw with guys like him and even a guy like Kyle Trask a couple of years ago when you were training those two type of guys. What were some of the qualities that you saw in Darrell King specifically that really propelled him to where he is today, and ultimately was one of the awesome quarterbacks we've been able to witness in Miami Hurricanes in the last 15 years?
Yeah, man. Training Darrell was huge for me, I knew the type of guy he was, and we actually played against each other in high school in 7-on-7 actually. So it's crazy, you play against somebody, and then when you're done playing, they're still rolling to get the opportunity to play, to train them, and to them to actually respect you enough and trust what you're doing to come out there and work with you consistently. Like I said, that happened around. That happened around COVID, so that was COVID time. So man, we were rolling literally four times a week, 4 or 5 times a week. But man, just seeing him out there, the way he competes, and people understood, the type of guy that Derek was, the type of success he had, early on before he got to U of H, before he got to Miami, when he was at U of H. So, that's what got guys like, Kyle Trask, and at that time, Logan Holgerson and James Foster. And just so many guys wanted to come work with him because they knew that, if I go work with Derek, I know he's going to push me. I know he's not, out there to just BS around or anything like that. And the success he had when he was playing, man, it showed because of the type of work ethic that he had, man. Always wanted to work, and he wasn't just out there just, going through drills. He was always focusing on, if it's a hitch route, he's not just throwing it. If he hit him in his face, he's upset about that because, we're trying to throw that hitch on the outside shoulder. So he wants another rep back. So he was huge on the little things, trying to perfect the little details because he understood, especially at that level, at the college level, at the FBS level, that it makes a huge difference, right? When you're playing against these top level guys, these first round, second round draft picks, that if you miss a little inside, that can turn into a pick six. So he held himself to that standard. And it was a blessing. I tell him all the time, I appreciate him. It was a blessing to be able to work with him because that kind of helped jumpstart Select QB from the standpoint of these college guys really coming out and trust me. You always got to have that one guy. Everybody don't want to be the test dummy. I say all the time, everybody doesn't want to be that guy who jumps out there and be like, oh yeah, well, let me go try this guy out. So Derek trusted me, man, and it took off, and it took off from there, and now he's, I think he's going to end up being a FBS, for sure, offensive coordinator, but for sure, probably the youngest FBS head coach here soon.
I completely agree with you, man. His time in Miami, the short time he had with us, man, the opportunities when I was able to either, chop it up, you could just tell very similar to Cam Ward's, man. They're very invested from a family standpoint, and then they also understand that the motive at hand, right? They were here for a reason, and it's the game of football. I mean, they are super competitive. I mean, whether it's football, playing chess, or first one to the water fountain, like they want number one. So I love that with De'Ara King and some of the other guys that you trained before. Now getting to these three guys in particular, as you know, Miami Hurricane fan base, we're a little bit more crazy than most college fan bases when it comes to Twitter and videos and kind of nitpicking the small details. And you had a bunch of viral videos on social media, during the offseason, gearing up to this football season, because the Miami Hurricane fan base was just so hungry to just see Cam Ward throw the football, right? Mm-hmm. And you had some great content and some great workouts on your YouTube channel. Make sure the fans, you guys tune in and see that. We'll make sure you get to plug that in later. But you had some videos of Shedeur Sanders, quarterback for Colorado, Kyron Drones, quarterback for Virginia Tech, and of course, our very own Cam Ward with Miami. And there were some very, glimpses in there where you kind of got to see Cam Ward behind the face mask a little bit for the people that didn't really get to know who Cam Ward is other than the number one, and we hope for him to be who he's starting to be this year, right? But what are some of the most interesting things that personally, Cam Ward, that you think most fan base wouldn't know? It doesn't even have to be on the football field, just who he is as a person.
I think a lot of people kind of figure out, Cam is a very simple guy. He doesn't want to, especially like him living in Miami, you would think like the normal college kid that lives in Miami, like wants to go and really just experience Miami, right? Cam's the complete opposite. Like he wants to go to the beach, to the ocean to go fish. Not to just, go, chill, have a good time. No, he wants to go fish. Like, I know one of the times. And then, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you. You're good.
Because somebody was calling me. My bad, man.
No, you're good, bro.
So yeah, we had got a yacht or something. And he was talking about, man, I'm gonna bring my fishing pole out there so I can go catch some fish in the middle of the ocean. It's like, come on, man. So that's the type of guy he is, man. Real cool, chill. Just want to sit back and chill. If you're not doing football, I want to sit back with Uno. Even when he comes up here and works out, he brings Uno up here. Uno runs around. He's just a real chill guy. If you let him get on the ox, we're just gonna listen to nothing but old music. All that type of stuff. So that's just Cam. Cam is a really good guy. His family is extremely great people. Man, it's been nothing but great working with them, and just ever since I met them. So Cam is Cam. What you see with Cam is what you get. So but he's all business when you get on the field. And that's why you see the demeanor that he carries, and that don't flinch mentality. That's just who he is, very competitive, not scared of nothing, knows, believes in himself. That's why he says it and, speaks it out loud because he knows what he can do.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Treese and Calvin Ward and that Ward family, man. Very great people. Been able to speak to them a few times as well, man. And you want to talk about competitors, man. I don't think people understand Cam Ward's mom's background when it comes to basketball, man.
Yeah,
She knows her stuff, man.
nah,
So
for sure.
I love seeing that, man, in a competitive drive with Cam. I'll tell you one thing before we continue with Cam, Kyron Drones, man, another guy that you want to talk about, a competitor and just the growth that he has had within the past year at college football quarterback. And obviously a lot of it is thanks to you and his hard work and dedication he's been putting in the offseason. Going back to last week, Virginia Tech, Miami, you obviously were at that game. You were team select QB. You were very clear on that, right? You didn't care who
Mhm.
won. You were going to win regardless, as long as they both showed out. And man, did they! I
Yeah.
gotta say, man, Kyron had a hell of a performance, man. He escaped pretty much anything Miami threw at him. I feel like he was pressured like 31 of 33 snaps, and yet we couldn't sack him. Talk about the elusiveness, right? Because I think one of the things you really can't not necessarily teach but see when you're training these quarterbacks are those type of plays that he's able to do, right? You're more training them with their fundamentals of throwing and just being mobile and throwing on the run. But then when it comes to the pocket breaking down and just guys being able to improvise and just be a true gamer, you have three guys that are just that, and Shedeur, Kyron, and Cam, that you've been able to train this past year. Talk a little bit about Kyron in particular and what you saw from him and Cam against Virginia Tech, really what you loved from both of those guys.
Yeah, I think with Kyron, man, it's no surprise what he's doing. Ever since like I started training Kyron in his junior year in high school, and just going out there and watching him, this is the type of stuff he did. Kyron isn't a little guy, so it's hard to bring him down. And just with the size that he has, a lot of people may think he can't run or get in and out of cuts, but he's a really good athlete as well. If you let him tell it, if it was up to him, he would still be playing basketball right now. Right, so tells you what type of athlete he was, and he was a decent basketball player. So it tells you what type of athlete he is. But being able to do that as a quarterback, man, changes the game. I think if you look at even the NFL right now, the guys who are successful, most of the guys who are successful are becoming successful in the NFL. Guys who can move around, guys who can make guys miss because, man, these DNs, these D tackles, these guys can run. Like these guys are athletic, so you got to have a guy who can move around. So, man, Kyron's I always tell people, Kyron's what you want your quarterbacks to look like. That's what a football player is supposed to look like from the height standpoint. Strong guy. They always make fun of him because he can go in the weight room and squat 600 pounds, bench 450. I might be lowballing him, but it's crazy numbers that you never see a quarterback do, right? But that just show you how competitive he is because he's always doing stuff that coaches never really want their quarterbacks to do, right? He's in there, when you're doing mat drills, he's in there, doing tire pulls against linebackers and different things like that because he can't go against the skill position because he's too strong for him. So just that type of thing. So be able to go out and see the success that he's having this season. I know it's not going the way he wants it to go at the moment. With them being 3-3 and losing 3 games up until the last possession. That's tough. But like I said, it's been a lot of positivity from what he's been doing this season so far. Especially with that, from what his last season was, not getting the job starting off, so having to come in midway and then kind of take over. So I think he's just opening up, and he's calming down, getting into the shell. I think that Miami game was huge for him. It was what I expected from him, for him to come out there and make plays. Big time moment, Friday night. I think it might have been one other game on, but who doesn't want to see, Miami, top 10 team, and then ACC game, So he knew everybody was watching, and that's when he performs, right? So, we were able to come out and see him do what he did, and, light it up the way he lit it up, right? I know, still upset about, how it ended, of course, but he took care of business, did what he was supposed to do, made plays, kept the game going, kept the game tight. I think he did his part, man, and so it was good to see. It was good to see him do that.
No, absolutely. Like I said before, man, I already had respect for Kyron before that game, and I think not only Hurricane fans, but I think a lot of college football got a lot more perspective of Kyron Drones and kind of the growth that he's had throughout the season, man. Going back to Cam, right? I think a lot of Hurricane fans, and not me necessarily, because I was one of the few on record that even when he was at Washington State, I wanted this man to be a Miami Hurricane, and I'm glad it happened. It doesn't come by surprise, some of these game-changing moments and opportunities that Cam has done, man. And I think it's phenomenal to see that all that's really changed is the uniform and the helmet, right? The mindset, the way he's played, the way he prepares, the way he is on and off the football field, it hasn't changed. Talk about you personally knowing the opportunity that Cam first had to possibly, try to reach his dream, go to the NFL, and decided, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot at Miami, and just seeing personally kind of all the bulletins and achievements that y'all have talked about through training going into the season and being able to see it firsthand all come unfold, and it's really just truly happening for Cam.
Yeah, I think, man, Shedeur actually said it on his podcast the other day. Was saying that Cam has been doing the same thing. He's just doing it on a bigger scale, on a bigger stage, right? It's just literally the same type of stuff, the same type of plays, extending plays, the sidearm stuff. Like this is who he has been since I watched this film at UIW. Since I watched him play at UIW. So this has been him. This is who he is, and the way he prepares and all these different things. That's just who he is. But to go back to your other question, man, I think it's hard. It's always hard to, when you get an opportunity to, it's that time where you can make a decision to go, hey, man, I can go to the NFL draft. I can put my name in there. And this is something that you've literally been working your whole entire life for since you decided you wanted to start playing football and really understood what the NFL was. It's hard to tell somebody that, it's right here. And I feel like I threw for 7,000 yards at 2 different schools in 2 years each. Regardless, they said it was FCS. Okay, so I came up and did it on the FBS level. Like, I've done everything I'm supposed to do that they said I couldn't do, right? So that's hard to really tell someone that, oh man, you should go back to school and do this, and then it gets to the point where, oh well, they're saying you may be a day 2 or a day 3 or this and that. Then that gets to the point where you gotta understand who he was. He had one offer, right? So now it gets to the point where, shoot, that's fine. I'll just bet on myself, right? And I think we see how far it has gotten him this far. So so you deal with all those type of things, right? So you gotta understand, like, yeah, from the outside looking in, you can see where maybe going here, how that can help and what this can do for you. But you also got to understand where he's coming from as well, right? So and I think that's what I did. Yeah, I wanted him to, I was a fan. I understood, he was when he told me one thing, he was like, man, Miami, they got a good amount of their guys coming back, and then they went I think y'all went 7-6 last year.
Yep.
But I think he said that y'all had lost like 3 or 4 one-score games, so it was like it could have been a completely different season. He was like, man, they got a lot of those guys coming back, So I'm like, so when he told me that, I'm like, man, I hadn't knew of Coach Dawson because he was here at U of H and had recruited one of my guys, and so I knew of Coach Dawson, and knew of Coach Cristobal, of his tenures at Oregon and all those different things. So I knew the coaching staff. So I was like, man, that's a really good opportunity. You're on that stage. The ACC, you playing against you answer all the questions. I feel like going, making that jump and going to Miami. I feel like that can only help your draft stock. If you go up there and and that's all it was, just be you. You go up there and do the same thing you've been doing. That's only gonna help you. That turns you into now nobody can say anything to you day one. Like it's nothing else to talk about. But I understood where he was coming from for the point, like, man, I done did all this, like. I've done it, you know what I'm saying? So I understood it, but I tell him all the time, I'm happy he did it because I was really pushing for it. So to see what he's doing now, how he's lighting it up, especially like even like last night, like almost 300 yards in one quarter, just going like this, the stuff that he does is like, it's crazy, but it's like, it's Cam, like I see him do certain things like the arm angles and throwing around people, just like all the stuff that he does that the normal quarterback doesn't do. Like that's what he does at training, right? That was one of the biggest things I had to learn to adapt when I first started training him. The first session I started training him, he was doing a lot of sidearm things and a lot of different things, and I started to kind of want to trying to change some things, kind of like, yeah, you want to have that in your bag, but we need to kind of clean it up, be more traditional and whatever. But I didn't change it. But what I did was after that, we trained, I think, 2 days back to back. And so that night I actually went to go really just watch his tape and just, really just see how he was, see how he played. And like, that's what made him successful. Like him throwing from those different angles, being able to get to those different angles, being able to throw off scheduled and do all that type of off platform stuff. Like that's who made him the guy who was throwing for 3,000-4,000 yards a year. So once I figured that out the next day, I was like, all right, we ain't changing nothing. We're just going to perfect what you're doing, put you in certain situations to really understand what we're doing, so we make sure it's not hurting us, right? So we just got to that point. But what he's doing now, man, literally, it's no surprise. When we talk all the time, and it's not like, man, you going crazy. Like, it's like, yeah, you give him his props, but it's more so like we're talking about, the stuff that we missed, the stuff that he missed out there, or the stuff that he, man, I should have had this, or, I should have had this, I missed this one. I should have, all those little things. But what he's doing now, man, is, the stuff that he's been doing since he's been in college, man, is just on a bigger stage. And I am truly happy that he's getting this opportunity because he deserves it. Him and his family, they do deserve the recognition that he's getting it. And, to be in the situation that he's in, especially starting from, where he started from, 0-star guy, one college offer from a football camp. It doesn't work out like this for everybody. So it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, man. He's a guy that truly betted on himself, man. Came back one more year, and it seems like it's paying off for him. And you mentioned Kyron, wanting to potentially play basketball. Cam Ward was another guy that was in love with the game of ball too, man. Like I mentioned with his mom, man, that's a basketball family right there. And he could hoop as well. I would be interested to see who wins that one-on-one between him and Kyron. But I think at the end of the day, man, I think the great thing you're seeing with Cam Ward is, obviously as Hurricane fans, we haven't really seen this at the quarterback position, not only from an athletic standpoint, but just his cool, calm demeanor, man, just the way he accounts through adversity. He's always himself through ups and downs. He responds the same way, whether it's a win or a loss. And it just truly goes back to who he is as a person. Shout out to his parents as well. But man, I gotta say, man, I said it after the game last night, and the most dangerous thing in college football right now is when Cam Ward has the football last in his hands. I mean, the Holmes, Aaron Rodgers comparison, man, like those type of guys, that they go through ups and downs, but at the end of the day, when you need that last score, those are the guys you want the ball in their hands. And I think, shout out to Cam for that, man. Before we get you out of here, man, again, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule, man. Like I said before, man, what you've been doing at SelectQB, man, it has been awesome to watch, man. And before we get you out of here, I want you to plug your info in and also let the Cane fans and viewers and listeners know some of the guys in the upcoming, maybe next year and a year after that, of some names that we need to watch out of some guys that you're training as well.
Yeah, everything, keep everything the same on, I think, all social media. Twitter, Instagram. That's pretty much the only two things. At SelectQB Athletics. Uh, Website www.selectqbathletics.com. And then, man, we got, like I said, we got kids all over. We got Keelan Russell at Duncanville. Right now, he's committed to Alabama, top 5 quarterback in the nation. You got Keyshawn Henderson, who's based in Houston. He's committed to U of H right now. He's number 2 athlete, number 1 athlete, depending on which one you're looking at in the nation. And we got a lot of guys, man. I don't even want to get to start naming people because then if I leave somebody out, then I'm gonna look bad, right? But it's a lot of guys in the stable, man. We keep them updated on our social media platforms, just to get those guys out there, especially with all the traction that we get from, with all the other guys, with, Kyron and Cam and Shedeur, all these guys doing. So all the traction we get from those, with those guys doing, it just helps these guys, right? It gets more eyes on these guys. And then the type of guys that they are, and I know it's a little sidetrack, but just the type of guys that they are, like, they don't want to just, train by themselves, right? We got plenty of footage of, them out there with 7, 8 other high school guys, being out there, want to work with those guys, compete with those guys, but also teaching those guys, helping those guys out, right? And that's the sessions I like because, of course we competing, but they're also learning from each other. And now these guys are out there learning from, guys that they're watching on Saturdays and soon to be Sundays, man. So those guys are just great guys, man. You don't find a good group like this all the time from all aspects to where, they're playing well, but also really good guys in the community from, wanting to do things for us, like the free camp we did out here in Houston, with those guys, it's just a lot of different things that they do, man. They do a really good job. So we got a lot of stuff going on, for us, with the high school guys, younger guys, and even all the college guys that we have, from the rest of the guys on the FBS level to the guys on the FCS level, D2 guys, man. We got them all. So, we keep them all in the stable, keep them going, and, keep these guys competing so they can continue to get better and be ready when their opportunity comes.
One last question for you, man, before I get you out of here.
Yeah,
For the quarterbacks or athletes or families that are watching the show and maybe either don't have the finances or the opportunities because of the area that they play in to have someone like yourself or someone similar, what is your message to those people, whether it's a tip or just something that you've been able to take with you throughout life, to really just either battle through adversity or just, finding that extra mile in them to kind of be great, especially at the quarterback position?
I think it's to figure out what's in you, right? So from the quarterback position, it's a lot that goes into it, man. It's so tedious from the mechanic standpoint, a lot of different things. But it's about, like I tell my guys all the time, especially when we do like different camps and different things. It's about how bad do you actually want it, right? Your parents, most of the time, if your parents or whoever your guardians are, if they see you want to do something, you're telling them they want to do something, they're going to find ways to make it work for you, right? But they're going to put you in a situation, but you have to do your part and do the outside work, right? So I tell guys all the time, like, man, if I want to be really good at quarterback, especially even at the high school level, I tell these guys, man, you got to know coverages. You can't wait till you get to the college level to try to learn coverages. By the time you get there, it's guys up there that's dissecting those coverages. Now you way behind because now you're just trying to learn it, right? So find ways to spend time with it, man. It's a whole different ball game than when I was in high school, or even when 20, 30 years ago when other people were in high school, man. You can reach out to people, man. People can reach out to me via social media, via email, ask me questions. We always try to, respond back and, get to the people that we can. But also, man, all this stuff is online. Right? It's just about how bad do you want it, if I want to go learn what, all the zone coverages in, I can literally go on YouTube and type in what is all the zone coverages, what is cover 2, what is cover 3, what is cover 4. And they have hundreds of videos that can literally break that stuff down for you. And like, maybe that's not the one-on-one time that I may get, but you gotta use your resources as you can, right? Because that's the only things that's gonna help you. So it's always about, I'm big on this, man. Finding solutions, not making excuses. I'm big on that, right? So being able to find ways, like I say, reaching out to people, even when I first started training, man, even, had Gerard, but also just finding other guys that I seen what they were doing, reaching out to them, asking them questions. Everybody may not answer. It's a part of it, right? But, but going out and finding ways, doing some studying, doing some research about different things, right? Just to try to help yourself, because I understood what I wanted to do. what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. So, just finding ways and not finding excuses. I think that's the biggest thing that I would give to any young guy. I tell all my guys that all the time, like, yeah, you can have this stuff, you can get it, but if you're not going to spend time with it, you're not going to do it on your own, then, everybody's wasting their time.
Man, absolutely, man. You're preaching to the choir there, man, and absolutely great stuff that you've been doing at QB, Select QB Athletics, man. So shout out to you and all the recognition and hard work you've been doing, man. I hope you continue to have great success, man, and appreciate you as always for taking some time out of your busy schedule, man. I know it's been a long day for you, man, and continue to do great things.
Much love, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm glad we could finally get it done. I appreciate you, man. My bad about that.
Hey, you good, brother? No worries, man. You just continue to do good things, man, and get Cam Ward good every week for us, man. We're loving it. We're loving it.
Nah, for sure. Hopefully, it's not too many more scares like last night and last week.
For sure, bro. Absolutely, man. Have a good night and go Canes.
Nah, for sure, man. Same to you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, there you had it, folks. Darrell Colbert of Select QB out there in Houston, Texas. Man, our guy has trained, some of the best quarterbacks out there currently, man, with Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Kyron Jones as well, and a few others like De'Ara King. But hey, man, it's another show on the CanesWear Daily Podcast. I am your host, Brad Tejeda. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and we will catch you later.